If you're a videographer that's trying to emulate that film look that's authentic, it's no easy feat. Trying to mimic that classic 70s looks end up feeling just like a really bad imitation. For years, we struggled with in-program effects and overlays, and we always were short of the mark. But then we found a little-known piece of software called Dehancer, and everything changed. Now, for clarity's sake, we like to mention right out of the gate that we shoot on a Sony a7 IV, and we edit in Adobe. So some of the things that we're getting out of the software could be different depending on what you shoot and edit with, as it's compatible with basically everything. We're not going to be diving too deep into technical side of things, as there are far more knowledgeable folks than us that already have, but more of an overall feeling after our time using it from our perspective, not an amateur and not an expert editor and videographer either. Also, we like to mention that Dehancer asked us to make this review, but they were very clear they want an honest review of their product, which we intend to give because there are some issues we can see despite how much we really love this program. First, let's do a quick overview of what Dehancer actually is. Dehancer is a complete film emulator. It gives you hundreds of options and infinite combinations for getting that authentic film look out of your digital footage. It's got massive collection of film stock and also different film prints to play with. There's also tons of other features: grain, halation, compression, film damage, different vignette effects, all kinds of things. The depth of these individual features really give you infinite combinations for how to get that exact look you need. However, it's not exactly a one-stop shop. The user interface can get pretty overwhelming when it comes to trying to do a pass on the footage. While the complexity and depth of the controls give you a lot of freedom, if you haven't read the manual, it is very easy to end up in the weeds making minor tweaks and changes. This isn't necessarily a bug or a feature, it's just a fact of working with it. Though simply dragging it over your footage will give you a look that's way too contrasty and crunchy, and the grain is way too high right off the bat, you're looking through a list of 40 film stocks potentially paired with 5 different prints, and boom, you're already in the weeds trying to remember which looked best with what, and it can become time consuming. But from our perspective, that's okay because we work on shorter form content, so we have extra time to go through and really check things out. But if you're looking for a one-click solution with thumbnail examples, this is not the program for you. It's an insane amount of options you have to try out really to understand and see its effect. Side note, if you're a new videographer or editor and not really educated in actual film and cameras used in the things you're trying to emulate, use this program as a guide to figure out what those things mean. When we first started using it, we were just clicking around and messing with faders, but after a while we realized that we were kind of messing with ancient forces we didn't understand, and it caused us to actually research into the different film stocks, what they were used for, etc. Learning how to use this program isn't necessarily the same as understanding the program, so definitely go do your research. The reason I say it's not a one-stop shop is because even with the correct camera inputs, a lot of times we find ourselves having to go back into Lumetri to touch them up, even when we found the right combo that we liked. So if you're gonna do more run-and-gun documentary style stuff with less reliable lighting, you'll find yourself needing a little extra help getting the basic correction where you want it to be. However, the major ace this program has up its sleeve is the bloom and halation effects. These make it seem like the program is really inside of the footage and it's pulling out the softness that you think of when you think of a 70s and 80s cinema. The grain is incredible. It also gives you plenty of control and options, but truthfully, it's just better looking than anything else we've seen. Like I said before, the way this program looks, it feels like it's actually inside of the footage the way that silver celluloid crystals sit inside of the film itself. The film damage effects are also really high quality and don't look forced, so if you want to take it to that extra step into the 70s territory, this will definitely get you there. So about 2 years ago when we first started using Dehancer, we had also been using Film Convert, and though we liked it, it had some of the same UI issues with less complexity. Another thing I'll touch on is performance. If you're trying to use this on your 8-year-old MacBook, I'd suggest you don't unless you're doing all proxies. This program is not fully optimized to run smoothly on slower machines, so that's something to note before spending money on it. We were definitely in that position when we first found Dehancer, so please trust us on this. But speaking on money, if you want to buy Dehancer outright and get the whole suite with everything it offers, a lifetime member is going to pay $449 US. For 1 year, you'd pay $299. For 6 months, you'd pay $199. And for 3 months, you'd pay about $149 US. And then they also have Dehancer Lite, which is pretty much the same exact suite. You get all the film stocks, but the only difference really is going to be that you don't get as many of the effects. But for someone not trying to break the bank, this is going to be your best option, and a lifetime member would pay $199 US. For a year, you're going to be looking at $129. For 6 months, you're going to be looking at $89, and for 3 months, you are going to be looking at $69. The most, awesome thing I think that they've done with this program to really help everyone out is to split everything up. So really with Dehancer, you can buy the grain. That's going to be $100 for a lifetime member. You can just buy the bloom. That's going to be $100. You can just buy the breath, which is like gate weave, film breath, film damage, overscan. That's going to be $100. And then you also get halation. That's going to be $100. So when you add it up, it does make more sense to just buy this as a whole within, either the full suite or the Dehancer Lite, because you're spending way more money doing it like piece by piece when you just get it all outright if you just buy it once. And I will say, when looking at the competition, the main one we put against Dehancer, for the same, I won't say same, but for something very similar, which is Film Convert, you're only going to be looking at $133, and that's going to be on any, compatible software. And that's going to come with the halation. If you're going to buy just the film stocks and, try to do it all yourself with the grain, you're only going to be looking at $100 from Film Convert. So when it comes to money and say you really do have a budget, that will matter. And I do suggest you look up both of them, do your research, really go ahead and just see which is going to be best for you in your current financial situation. So to sum things up in the pros and cons, some pros would be there's an insane amount of options: bloom, halation, grain, best emulation possible, out right now in our opinion. Kodak film stock, everyone loves a Kodak film stock, and not simply a LUT or an overlay. Cons would be there's an insane amount of options. Sometimes the UI is unhelpful, and there are slow render times significantly compared to the other programs we've used. All in all, like any editing plugin or software, it really depends on the job you use it for. But if the job requires you to have that unmistakable 70s golden era Godfather type cinema look, and you only have prosumer cameras to work with, Dehancer really is the best option by a long shot if you can swing that price. So if you guys really want to try it out, you do get 2 weeks free out the gate. And with that, you get a trial, you get to test the whole suite, download it to your computer. And also, if you really are going to support this and move forward on it, make sure you guys use our code. We'd really appreciate it. It's going to be HGVIS, HGVIS. And with that, you're going to get 10% off all those prices I told you earlier. So if you are getting the full suite, you're going to get 10% off of $449. Which is great. And if you're only going to get Lite, you're going to get 10% off of $199, which is still saving a lot of money, So it's better than saving no money, and we'd really appreciate you guys supporting us. So again, we want to thank Dehancer, and we hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.